We continue on Sports Night on a day for America's biggest sporting event, the Super Bowl. We talk about the state of football and this impending huge issue, and that is concussions, brain trauma, CTE, and the state of football. With us, Jamir Miller, longtime NFL player, of course, for years with the Cardinals and Browns. Scott Peters played for many years, Cardinals, Eagles, Giants. Two veterans now retired to address the issue. I want to start with kind of the hot button issue, Scott and Jamir. President Obama says earlier in the week, if I had a son, he's not playing football. Rodney Harrison says, I'm scared to death about the years ahead. I got a family to raise. I fight a sense of loneliness, isolation, and anxiety. Let's start with you, Jamir. What do you go through after football?
Well, first off, thanks for having us here tonight, Jude. And it's a pleasure, as usual, to be able to chat with you. Really my issues that I suffer from are really short-term memory loss. It's a lot of concussions. I think I've had an untold amount. When you get to a point to where you get into a medical description, the actual breakdown of what a concussion is, generally every game, someone's having a concussion of some sort.
And you talk about getting hit 4 or 5 times on a given play.
And that's how it is. When you're in the trenches, when you're going to make a play, you're going to actually hit, your blocker. There's a guy assigned to block you every time I played outside linebacker, just in case the younger guys don't know. You're going to have to deal with that initial blocker, generally, and then you're going to have to deal with another blocker, especially if they target you out in the scheme. So they'll double team you. So that's 2 guys you've dealt with. Thirdly, you got to make the tackle if you're fortunate enough to get through those 2 and get on the ball carrier. And then you're going to get hit by your own guy. So that's 4 to 5, collisions each and every play.
Scott, you were right in the trenches. I mean, you played center and you played special teams. You told me once, and this stunned me. There was a play where you lost the filling of your teeth. I mean, the collision, that sounds crazy to some fans, but this is what happens in reality on a football field. I
mean, the speed is incredible. I think that you have large people. These are the best athletes in the world coming out there, and they're taught to use their head as a buttress to smash people with. And I think it's inevitable to happen, and like Jamir pointed out, the concussion, what defines a concussion is most people probably have suffered something related to a brain injury, traumatic brain injury. So when you're doing that 4 to 5 times in one given play over the course of one football game 60 times, that doesn't happen every play, of course, but you spread that over the year, over the career, from youth leagues on up to the NFL levels, it's not a real shock that people are having problems. And I think that you said it with President Obama coming out, that when the President of the United States comes forward and says that he thinks the game is not safe enough for his own children to play, the NFL and football underneath is in crisis.
If you understood the implications of a football career, even though you did well financially, you had a great career,
yes,
would you have done what you did, play pro football, knowing that there was a high risk to brain trauma and the issues that go with it?
No. If I had known the actual dangers of the game, you got to remember, I went to UCLA, so obviously I was able to get into on the other side and get my schoolwork done. The thing is that I was actually exceptional at football as well. So, like we were talking about, we're no one's, after you play ball is immune to the effects of, the brain trauma that happens. But if they were more upfront with it, instead of just telling someone, and don't use your head, just keep your head up so you don't break your neck. That was the only warning that you were really given when you're playing the game, is keep your head up so you don't break your neck. Not if you run into this guy full speed with your head, you got an 80% chance you're going to get a concussion.
Jamir, the other part of this that I find interesting is the reality, Scott, of the culture. Hey, not everybody wants to come out when they have their, quote, old school bell rung, because they could lose their job, their position. And you have the team physicians. There's so many aspects to this that say, okay, get him out there, he's important to the team. You dealt with that. You don't want to lose that salary.
There's no doubt about it. This is a highly competitive field. You have guys waiting in the wings. There's 10 to 15 guys behind you that may not be in the same state as you, in the same team as you, but they're on speed dial in case you don't play.
Fans love the big hits, but the consequences. If you penalize, you regulate, you lose those big hits, do you lose the rating, attraction, the Moneyball aspect of the game?
I'd have to say yes, and that's one of the main reasons that we're here with you today, is because it's a time for the game to change. You don't go outside and run up to your car and try to open your car door with your head. You use your hands. That's what we want to implement. That's where the game has to go. It has to evolve away from the caveman style that we played and that we're currently still playing, into a new, really breed of ball. You can't really do much about protecting the ball carriers or the scoring players. They're already doing that in the NFL by penalizing guys and fining guys. So you tend to draw back a little more than you would. But what about the guys, the linebackers? What about the defensive ends? What about the offensive tackles, the fullbacks? The guys that really are down there in the trenches hitting every single play.
I've seen your instruction video. It's a lot of utilizing the hands, leverage. You've been at this for quite some time. You've worked with top coaches from Coach Callahan at Dallas to University of Washington. You are trying to change this game as we speak, Scott.
Yeah, I've been working at this for a while. So at Fight Ready, our MMA gym, and Jamir and I work together there on with the martial arts. But we have post-retirement, when I got out of football, I started looking at the game from like a 30,000-foot perspective, and I decided that the ways that we were being taught were wrong, and I think that they were really not optimal.
10 seconds each. What should the fan, the lover of football, that passionate viewer, understand about this issue? You got 10 seconds. Go ahead, Jamir, you first.
Well, the thing is that we don't want to take the game away. It's the game of football is probably the only American game that we have. It's a game that's played primarily here in America, dominated by Americans. It's our game. So, as we've done in America throughout the course of our history, we evolve, we change.
Safe football is one of the components that will handle this change, and I think it's going to be one of the major solutions in this process. I think that we're calling for a symposium with industry leaders, experts in fields related to football to come here into Phoenix and talk about this and hash this thing out. I'm talking about league officials, referees, people in the equipment industry, those kind of people. And the bottom line is, with safe football, you save your brain and you'll save the game.
Jamir Miller, Scott Peters, we appreciate your insights and commentary on the issue in football today.
Thanks for having us, Jude.
Thanks.